You've been struggling.
The breathtaking feeling that comes from experiencing a sensation few men will ever realize. For the next 30 minutes, you will be in the driver's seat, taking a closer look at the people, the parts, the planning, which goes into making the Miss Budweiser one of the top boats in racing history. Strap on your seatbelt, for this is the story of an unlimited hydroplane providing unlimited excitement. Unlimited excitement. A look at the world's fastest boats featuring Miss Budweiser. Brought to you in part by Budweiser, proud sponsor of the 1988 U.S. Olympic team. This Bud's for you.
Trying to catch the Budweiser. Here comes the checkered flag. The Budweiser will win it.
In the world of unlimited hydroplanes, no boat has crossed the finish line first as often as Miss Budweiser. In all of racing, no machine has dominated like this turbine-powered unlimited. In 25 years of competition, Miss Bud has finished on top 61 times. And 61 times over the past quarter century, owner Bernie Little of Lakeland, Florida, has celebrated with his drivers in the winner's circle. Since the early 1960s, 22 boats have raced under the name of Miss Budweiser. And while there have been many different boats, there is one common denominator tying them all together: winning. Miss Budweiser has taken home 9 national championships, set dozens of speed and course records, and since the 1960s, dominated a sport which originally dates back to the turn of the century. One which today features such formidable competitors as the Miller American and driver Chip Hanauer, the Miss Madison driven by Ron Snyder, and a racing machine known as Cellular One.
Over the years, boats have maintained different technological advances, and for several years you'll find a lot of competition until somebody breaks the mold, goes out, creates a brand new machine, and runs away with it for several years. It's obvious that Budweiser is a dynasty in its own right. They've created a winning attitude. Everything about it is first class, and typically they've been winning national high point championships.
Let the celebration begin in the Budweiser camp. Here comes Jim Kropfeld, the 1987 world champion. Jim Kropfeld in the Budweiser. Third place, Theo Boyoberto. And congratulations to the Bud team, their second straight national title.
In 1987 alone, driver Jim Kropfeld, owner Bernie Little, and the Miss Budweiser team took the unlimited hydroplane racing circuit by storm. All Miss Budweiser did was win the first 5 races of the season, set 15 new speed records, and finish on top in the highly competitive sport of unlimited racing for the second consecutive year. 1987, though, was not without its harrowing moments. In May, during testing on Lake Washington in the city of Seattle, the Miss Budweiser was involved in a frightening blowover. Though he was trapped underwater for nearly 5 minutes, a newly enclosed cockpit saved driver Kropfeld's life, allowing him to walk away shaken but unscathed. Months later, during a race in San Diego, disaster struck again.
One thing we've noticed about the turbine drivers, both Hanauer and Kropfeld, and Scott Pierce for that matter, staying way outside when they can and keep the boat speed. Look out, the Budweiser's gone over. Jim Kropfeld and the Miss Budweiser has blown over.
After many anxious moments, Jim Kropfeld was rescued and carried out of the race site on a stretcher. But thanks again to the Budweiser's pioneering safety features like the enclosed cockpit, Kropfeld would not miss a race. Spectacular crashes, spectacular victories. Make no mistake about it, 1987 belonged to a boat capable of reaching speeds of almost 200 miles per hour. One tough lady named Miss Budweiser.
This is the fastest race boat in the world. He is one of the best, let's face it. And here comes Jim Kropfeld. My goodness, flying into that first turn. He in first place is the Budweiser. Jim Kropfeld is picking up another victory. Yet another win for Bernie Little.
To win the Martini Rossi High Point Trophy is no new experience to this crew. but I'm sure it's just as exciting each time it's received. Stand, if you will, to honor our world champions of 1987. The owner, Bernie Little, the driver, Jim Kropfeld, crew chief, Ron Brown, and the Miss Budweiser racing team.
It's only fitting that the racing team which dominated the '87 season would likewise do the same at the sport's annual awards banquet. And in Miami this past February, Bernie Little, Jim Kropfeld, and the Miss Budweiser gang reaped the rewards of their hard work. By the end of the evening, the Budweiser racing team had collected enough trophies and plaques to open up a sporting goods store. Among the many awards, Owner of the Year, Bernie Little. Driver of the Year, Jim Kropfeld. Crew Chief of the Year, Ron Brown. All in all, it was definitely an evening full of proud handshakes and broad smiles for the people who make Miss Budweiser an unlimited hydroplane of unlimited power. Coming up, we'll take a closer look at some of those who make Miss Bud the best in the world of speed, power, and excitement, known as hydroplane racing. What may be the most awesome team in unlimited hydroplane history. The owner, 62-year-old Bernie Little. The driver, 47-year-old Jim Kropfeld. Since joining forces in 1982, they have spent more time in the winner's circle than any of their competitors. The smiles have been frequent. The spotlight has been theirs.
Rolling down the river on a Sunday afternoon.
Well, I feel fantastic. Is there any better way to start off your 25th year and to have Jim Kropfeld and Miss Budweiser win the first heat?
I like what Lauren, one of the crew members, said. Not bad for a homemade boat. Bernie, how about it?
Well, yeah, you're right. The crew has done a tremendous job, but without Jim in there, he's number one, as you see. And for Jim to go out there and take the backup boat, wind up as a world champion in National High Point, we're fantastic and very happy. And thanks, Jim, for one great job.
To understand why the Miss Budweiser racing team has been the class of big league hydro racing, you first have to understand the man who's been its driving force since that day in 1962 when it all began. By glancing at the ring on his finger, the watch on his arm, his extravagant 143-foot yacht known as the Big Eagle, or any other aspect of Bernie Little's life, you wouldn't know this self-made millionaire never even went to high school.
I got to the 8th grade in school, and I peddled newspapers, and I shoveled snow and carried golf bags over my backs, and whatever it took to get the job done. And when I got through the 8th grade, I never did get any further. I went to work, and I've been working 12, 14, 16 hours a day ever since, and I just don't know any different.
Today, this man who doesn't know anything but hard work successfully owns and operates 3 Anheuser-Busch distributorships in Central Florida. He also buys and sells yachts and airplanes. But his passion runs deepest for objects that move fastest. And whether that means race cars, as it was on this day when Bernie entertained friends aboard his yacht while watching the Miami Grand Prix, or unlimited hydroplanes and his own Miss Budweiser, Little admits to being hooked on the sport of racing.
I like speed, and I like a good challenge, and I like competition. And I just like to be faster and better and quicker than anyone else on a race course.
Racing is his passion, but business is his life. And every day, Little pilots his own helicopter to work. Inside, his office is virtually overrun with just some of the hundreds of trophies his boats have collected over the years. The man who's never missed a single race since he first got involved in hydroplanes 26 years ago is the winningest owner in the history of the sport. It was back in the early 60s that Bernie acquired his first racer from band leader Guy Lombardo, a deal that would forever change his life.
I liked excitement, and I sure want to tell you that there's nothing more exciting to get your fanny in that boat that speeds up to 170 or 80. It's the most exciting thing you can do today that I know of.
Then the Budweiser picks up a victory here in Tri-Cities, the Budweiser Columbia Cup.
Each year, the victories mount for the boat that bears the Bernie Little name. No one has won more, nor enjoyed it more than this man whose face is lined with the joys that come from 26 years of racing. the many years of being on top. Bernie and Miss Bud, a boat and a boss that were born to win.
Do you like boat racing? Or are you afraid? Or is it fun?
Over the years, Jim Kropfeld has heard them all. And while he faces many questions, such as why he's willing to risk his life driving a machine that can zoom the length of a football field in 1 second, no one questions this man's talent as a driver, a racer, a winner.
My driving is just something, it's a natural ability. I don't feel I'm that great because it's something I do naturally. I think if I would have started out being a bad driver and had to go to school and take lessons and go to classes and practice, and I worked my way up this far, and I said, yes, I'm a good driver. I've worked at it, but I've never had to work at it. So to me, it's like something you do every day.
Like something you do every day. That's easy for Jim Kropfeld to say. But most people wouldn't dream of climbing behind the wheel of a boat that looks and sounds like it was designed to win wars, not races. Yet, since joining the Miss Budweiser team in 1982, Kropfeld has won 20 out of 48 races. That adds up to a winning percentage of .417, the highest in the history of the sport.
Great start for Jim Kropfeld in the Budweiser, Steve. Actually,
it seems like I'm just the first time I ever got in a race, but I was made for it, or the boat was made for me, or whatever. We went together.
As you've already seen, the marriage between Kropfeld and his boat isn't always smooth. Twice last year, he flirted with disaster when the Budweiser went out of control and flipped over. Though he wasn't injured, Kropfeld knows this sport has claimed the lives of quite a few drivers in the past. With the awesome speed and power these boats generate, Kropfeld and the small fraternity of men who drive the Unlimiteds realize each race could be their last. The intensity of racing is such that this Budweiser driver has, on occasion, depleted a 30-minute supply of oxygen in just 10 minutes. That's how much energy he expels during the course of a race. That's how much effort he puts into winning in a sport that's had its share of legendary drivers.
Bill Muncie was great, and Dean Chenoweth was great, and at the moment, I've won a lot of races, and I've done quite well and broke quite a few records, but that's not just me, that's our whole team. The whole team's out there working together and doing that. I couldn't do it without those guys. I couldn't get in a boat that wasn't equal to the Budweiser and go out and do what I do.
For the past several years, no boat has been the equal of the Miss Budweiser. Much time and effort goes into the building of these boats, as you'll see right after this.